voted, and I can show you 10 reasons why it's not worth investing in that company, why it would fail. It is not the question of broad market opportunities. It's not the question of investment capability. It's not the question of the motivation and passion of the individuals. There are a lot of other elements that need to come together. And how can you rebuild that? And at the end, I will also basically tell you in our own way what is ISB is trying to do to address this, to bring this knowledge together, so that as a nation we'll have something. There are several things, I have got detailed, and several reasons why you need to rethink in business. I mean, as I'm sure all of you have noticed, the 7 billionth person or a boy or a girl was born recently.
Yeah, that's right.
Just a couple of days ago. Yeah, a lot of people are claiming that, so I don't know where. But anyway, recently, there are 7 billion people on the globe, and they all have aspirations.
Yeah.
And more so because of the internet, because of the communications, they have a lot more access what they can potentially have, as opposed to, let's say, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So the aspirations level of 7 billion people is probably 20 times more than the aspiration levels of the 6 billion people that existed about 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And then shifting the center of gravity, and then about the resources, and self-reinforcing disparity, that's the economic disparity that we all being part of, and then probably in some ways inadvertently we continue to promote that, and then also a new chapter in the Indian economy. These are the various things, but let me quickly go through some of them. As I said, there are lots of people in India. Probably we added close to a billion people in the last 5 years, and therefore there is a tremendous need and responsibility and ownership, and to some degree it's in a selfish interest to meet the needs of larger section of the society. It is not very altruistic, you are doing something, but in some ways it's self-interest of the people that are doing well. And economic shifting of the center of gravity. Now I'm sure all of you are aware of some of the trends, if not the exact numbers. Look at the economy of the world. Now 45% of the GDP is going to be driven by the Asian economies in the years to come. Shifting of the gravity, more people are going to the urban. For example, right now, if you take Punjab, by about 2030, more than 50% of the people will be living in urban areas. And that's a challenge, as well as that's an opportunity, a great opportunity to look for what needs to be done to make to cater to the needs of those people. And let me quickly go through. The poverty is a trap. And most approaches that we take are actually reinforcing that trap. And just to not look at the macro level, which we don't normally pay attention to, malnutrition, some of the sort of contagious type of diseases like TB. And you can't be totally immune to what is happening there. And eventually, the system needs to find solutions for those kinds of challenges. Otherwise, it basically engulfs the entire nation. Now, poverty, and on the other hand, if you take all the government schemes, and even the attitude and mentality of some of the people looking for handouts, even that's not a global solution either, because you cannot really feed more than 1 billion people just through the government grants, and unless government generates some resources. And more importantly, as we all know, any resources that are being spent by the government are at best, very ineffectively, very inefficiently utilized. And many times those resources they never reach the end beneficiary, expected beneficiary. So that's a challenge. Now, what is the new chapter that is emerging? I think, the workforce, as I talked about emerging markets, growth, all that is great. But look at the last thing. Affordability replaces affluence as the new paradigm of innovation and driving the business. I think that's the key message that I want to leave. Growth is all fine. So if I'm really looking at creating a product or service, can I create that in a way that is more affordable to a larger number of people? And leveraging the innovation. Innovation need not be technological innovation. It could be a business model, it could be a service model, whatever it is. And that's the key message that I want to leave. Unless you start thinking, saying that this particular market size is $2 billion, growing at the rate of 15-20% has no meaning. At the individual level, that has a meaning at a macro level, but at the individual level, the market may be growing. It may be multi-billion-dollar market. If I cannot, as an entrepreneur, as a small company, if I cannot really think in terms of creating innovative solutions at the right price points, affordability as the main criteria, and surviving in this business is almost impossible. But what does it mean to businesses? And then lots of things. I think, let's see this. All these things, what it really means is unprecedented challenges. The way we have run business 20 years ago, 10 years ago, cannot be run, even large companies. And I can give you a number of examples where major corporations disappear. Take, telecom industry, which I'm very, familiar with. The entire leadership, US leadership, let alone individual companies in the telecom industry is completely disappeared. And, Nortel, Motorola, Lucent Technologies, and either they are non-existent or they're existent and maybe at 1/10 of what they were several, maybe 10 years ago. And while unprecedented challenges are there, but also it opens up tremendous opportunities for new entrepreneurs. And today, a new entrepreneur can challenge any major. I'll give you 2 examples. Think about 10 years ago, if you had come and if anybody had come to me and asked me, well, I was very closely involved in the manufacturing of AT&T equipment and all that. If somebody says, I want to get into mobile phones, making and selling, I said, unless you have capital, unless you have technology, don't even touch that. You have to have tons of capital. Because that was the capital, intensive type of thing. In India, you take 2 examples, Carbon and Micromax. They came out of nowhere. And they challenged a major, not only one major, but one of the majors, Nokia. Nokia today has less than 30% market share in India at one time, maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they used to have 70-75%. Nokia today, the market value, market capitalization of Nokia today is about 10% of what it was about 7 years ago. So the total company value came down by 90%. So there's nothing like, oh, I'm a small startup, how can I compete, how can I challenge? Today the technology, the kind of environment creates that opportunity. Anyone can challenge anyone else on the board. I think that's that's what I meant by opportunities, unprecedented opportunities. However, where are these opportunities? People talk about, can I have this software product or this manufacturing product or that? And those things earlier, if I have a product, let's say take AT&T as an example, or Motorola or anybody in telecom, we had switching equipment. At least for 10 years, it's guaranteed that you will go on. Maybe after 10 years, you may, some competitors may catch up, which is not the case today. So therefore, you need to really think about how to create an opportunity where nobody else is really paying attention. Urbanization. If you are talking about either training services, some other services, or clean drinking water, or healthcare services, how do I look for services that are affordable and that are accessible to a large number of people, yet profitable? Which means you may not have, the earlier days there used to be a concept called vertically integrated companies. They used to make nuts and bolts. General Motors is a good example. And they used to make everything. Today, General Motors, probably, they are doing nothing more than assembly. Or the parts come from Louisiana or some other place, and they assemble everything together. So you don't need everything in your area or in your control. But what you need is your ability to reach out and build those partnerships and build value. And that's what is needed. And when you are small, you are more likely to be successful in that if you take that mindset, as opposed to when you are large. For example, when two large companies coming together and doing, there are so many other players coming to the picture. Whereas two small companies saying, look, can we co-create some value? It's a lot easier because it's in the interest of both the parties. So organization, scarcity of environmental aspects, they will be the strategic drivers. The other important thing is, I said business can no longer ignore the responsibilities for externalities. This is whether it's environment, pollution and all that. You cannot simply ignore that any longer, because the indirect costs associated with that on your own business are your inability to meet those things and somebody else coming and meeting those needs, therefore you are getting wiped out of the business, are very high. So one needs to start paying attention to those things. New markets need not be new geographical markets. It could be new service that is being offered. Let me give you an example of that. I'll take two different examples. One example is if you are an IT person, software technologist. Earlier, the chances of you coming up with something on your own, maybe as a team of 2 or 3 people, and making a mark for yourself were relatively small. Today you could do that because there are open standards. As long as you create, look at the iStore. iStore has anywhere between 200 to 300,000 applications. It's about 60 to 70,000 applications are done by Indians. I mean, it's all individuals, maybe 1, 2, 3 people teams. So today it is possible for you, as long as you are looking at those standards. You don't need IBM backing you or let's say Intel backing you or any of those technologies. Take one other example, the other side of the spectrum, agro-processing. India probably is among the sort of developing countries, we add the least value for our products in terms of the value addition. Take tomatoes as an example. In India, there, depending on whose studies you believe, the sources, the range is not that important. Anywhere between 80 to 90% of the tomatoes that get produced in India, they go waste. They never reach anywhere. Because the overproduction during that time, because of the cost of transportation and all that, is not remunerative to the farmers, so they dump it or they get wasted somewhere. And let me draw a contrast in Thailand. Thailand, the same number is about 30%. And the value addition is very simple. Just simple mechanical process of peeling and canning, nothing. It doesn't require sophisticated technology. The moment you do that, you are adding the shelf life. You are able to transport that to somewhere else. You are able to maybe store it in your own place and sell it at some other time. So people are not thinking about that value addition, and that's another great opportunity when I talk about new markets. It doesn't have to be always the United States market or Western Europe or whatever. However, the important thing for those things to make it happen is more in terms of new organizational structures. How do I collaborate between 3 other people and co-create the value in such a way that my output becomes an input to him or his input becomes an output to somebody else. His output becomes an input to somebody else. As a result of that, the kind of relationships that you are going to establish can no longer be in traditional way. I own 30% of this company, I own 20% of the company. It won't work that way. But I own 20% of the value creation today, Maybe tomorrow I may be 10%, but that 10% I'm going to create a value of a much larger pie. And so the organizational relationships that you need to build at a small company level is completely different from what they want. So mergers and acquisitions in a traditional sense need not be there, and it has limited meaning in this context. Now, when you are working with lots of people, and one of the important things that you need to really figure out is how do I establish trust? Trust with my customers, trust with my partners, which means you need to bring a lot more transparency to your own operations. Transparency, it need not always be the financial transactions, even though that's one element of it. Transparency in terms of your processes, in terms of your standards. When you say, I tested this quality, the XYZ, so the other person should have the confidence and trust that you have a regimented process which leads to that value, so that he or she can rely on you and build other product basis. So as a result of all that, the internal transparency governance is no longer for the income tax people, is no longer for the government, it is only for your own business success. So that's another shift that is going to happen. And now there are various questions that are there that you need to, some of the questions are valid for some individuals sitting in this room. Some of the questions may not be appropriate depending on the area that you put in. But broadly, these are all the things that you need to ask when you start a business or growing a business or so for example, what is the again, one other point I want to make is there used to be multi-year planning. I'm sure some of you are familiar with the 5-year planning, 10-year planning, corporate planning. Now, in the dynamic world, it's only directionally valid. It's no longer that people can stick to those plans. So there are the dynamics, political dynamics change, technology dynamics change. Think about the tablet. Recently, somebody introduced a tablet for $50. And think about your Apple or Apple-like company before producing a tablet for $500. Of course, Apple has its brand and all that, and you pay something to the brand. But for an average commoner, as long as it works, as long as he or she gets the service, it functions. The brand by itself has very limited value. If something doesn't work, I know where to take it, I can get it repaired, that's all they pay for. So something can happen anywhere in the world and completely change the dynamics. So there's nothing called 5-year plan. It is good to have something in a time horizon what is likely to happen. But the focus of that period is not just so much what you are planning to do, but what is likely to happen around you. And what kind of tsunamis are going to come and completely uproot you. Your 5 years directional focus should be more on those issues and the environmental aspects that are going to affect your business than saying, my growth is 10%, 15%, therefore I'm going to deploy, another 2 crores or 5 crores of capital, I'm going to borrow from somebody. My spreadsheet says my IRR is this, that. It's not going to work that. Because nowhere in the world that kind of approach is going to guarantee a success. It is not given even for larger companies in the world. And I'll give you one example. Back in the 90s, when we were trying to acquire cable properties in the United States, I was fortunate enough to be part of that team. The price tag, through investment bankers and consultants came through is about anywhere between $70 to $90 billion. And for a company, any company, $70 to $90 billion is a lot of money in the largest companies. And tons and tons of reports, fancy graphs, they saw that. One fundamental question we asked him that is, okay, if it is $80 billion, whatever the number is, take 70, 50, it has to yield 10% returns for the investors at least to reasonably be happy. That means I need to get out of that business, if you take 50 billion, $5 billion of net profit. In a telecom or any technology industry, to have 10% profit, net profit, is a great profit. That means I need to create $50 billion worth of revenue opportunity. Then interesting thing is when we simply did a back of the envelope calculations, how many households are there in the United States that can give me $50 billion, actually it was $80 billion revenue, then each household has to pay something like a couple of thousands for subscribing to the service. Is that nobody, just we went around in the room, would you pay for it, would you pay for it, would you pay for it, and everybody said no. Then all this strategy and analysis has no meaning. So I think one needs to really bring a lot of common sense type of approaches into your planning process. And traditionally, it is not done. We get carried away with fancy graphs and spreadsheets. The other thing is innovation. See, innovation, people think about, I don't have money for R&D, but most innovations come from actually from day-to-day innovations. People have done lots of process innovations, lots of technology, and I don't know if there is an organization called National Innovation Foundation in India.